This is a story about Netflix and Quickster. I had never heard of Quickster before this. So Netflix started as a DVD rental by mail service, the disruption to Blockbuster. We all know this story, right? They launched streaming in 2007. Streaming is the future. Users could have unlimited DVDs, and then they could also stream under the same account. So they were like directly going into the DVD rental space and then introducing this new approach, this new method of consuming content, streaming. So they saw DVD as a fading market. Streaming was the future, and licensing costs were rising here. So the idea is when they saw this, as they were doing two things at once, was what if these businesses just grow independently? So they had a joint account, $10, you could do both. They split them into two separate accounts, each for $8, one for your DVD rental still, and one for these, maybe the early adopters that are starting to get into streaming. So they're looking at it, rather than one for $10, two for $8 each, you're gonna make more money, and you're also kind of like segmenting these things out. But they announced this in 2011. Quickster was the new brand for DVD rentals. They made this sub-brand for this piece, and Netflix remained for streaming. And now customers would also need two accounts for both. So you're really just kind of overcomplicating the process. And a lot of the decision making they made here when Reed Hastings, the CEO, came out with this, there was no customer consultation, customer feedback. It kind of was just like a sudden mic drop moment, like, hey, this is happening, everyone, boom. And the lack of foresight into what was gonna happen here is so evident in the results. So lots of people saw it as like confusing, like splitting all this stuff up, managing two extra accounts, extra work, price hike alienates people as well. And the result was that Netflix lost 800,000 subscribers within 1 quarter. And their stock dropped 80% from its peak, and it was a very visible dip on Netflix like brand. And the public sentiment completely shifted from this like lovable disruptor kind of ushering in this new era of streaming to just frustration, confusion. Are they gouging us some money? What even is going on? It was just confusion, to be honest. And so Quickster became a bit of a meme. It was mocked. And I love this note. So to put this a little bit of, we're breaking the fourth wall here. Producer Grayson, the best in the business, gives a little bit of extra research. This note here, Netflix failed to secure the Twitter handle for Quickster, which was owned by a teenager that used to tweet about weed. So there's a fun fact. Thank you for that research, Grayson. I love that. And so there was just a lot of confusion, and Quickster, now let's flip it to a bit of positivity, listening to your buyer, because not everything, you should be launching things with your buyer in mind and having, as you mentioned in our first example, buyer sentiment, buyer feedback as an input. They did not, but they responded. They responded quickly. The Quickster plan was scrapped within 3 months, and they went back to unifying their service. So it was a boo-boo, but they listened to their buyers very actively, and then they started to just double down on the streaming content, original programming, their original mission of seeing DVD as a relic of the past and a new era of consuming content. And so they kind of unified everything, and then that was the moment where instead of trying to be everything, they went, streaming is our purpose, streaming is our mission, this is our business model, and we know what happened from there when it comes to Netflix and the streaming world. So this is a mixture example here.
I love it. I remember like the name Quickster. I did not remember that it was broken in two and you had to have like two subscriptions, two prices. That just seems so poorly thought out. Unless to give them the benefit of the doubt, unless they had to like comprehensive research and they really discovered this is two completely different customers. They don't want both subscriptions and we're going to be able to grow both. But it doesn't sound like that was the plan or the strategy here.
No, and it's again, maybe we're putting a little bit of like hypothetical hats on here. Is like, given in this point in time, this is so long ago that streaming was a bit of a new age thing. Like everyone is still accustomed to the current way of consuming movies and going to the DVD rental store. Like all of this was like the way that people were still consuming their like entertainment. And so maybe they were trying to kind of usher in a new era, but also still like tap into the existing revenue before it dried up, rather than, to your earlier point, with a company having a clear mission and purpose, just going with that and putting all of your eggs in that basket. It sounds like they were trying to kind of like tap into the existing revenue while this bet for this kind of new wave of consumption was growing in demand, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the things I'm taking from both of these examples is this idea of like, you can't be everything to everyone. Because even with the McDonald's example, I remember when the salads came out, I remember going with my mom to McDonald's and she was like, that's amazing. Like, now I can still get McDonald's. She like got a salad with a small fry, you know? But then I would go with my daddy, he'd be like, this is outrageous. Why are we getting salad here? And so I think how you deliver, the message around how you've incorporated customer feedback is important as well.